You're listening to the Law of Attraction Radio Network.
The secret to well-being is discovering the power that is your birthright, the power to create a happier, healthier life, drawn from our own vast internal resources. Join Jules and her guests as they gently guide you to shift your perspective from the familiar negative to the divinely connected, a place that will not only positively impact your world, but possibly shift the planet. It's all right here on Law of Attraction Talk Radio.
Well, welcome to Law of Attraction Talk Radio. I'm Jules from beautiful Southern California, and I'm so happy to be with you today because I've got a great show, and it's all about finding your soulmate. And if that is interesting to you, or maybe you've already found your soulmate, but perhaps you want to have a friend find their soulmate. So this is a great show to listen to. I am interviewing today a soulmate coach. She's just delightful. Jeanne Sullivan Billeci, and she wrote this book, Be the Soulmate That You Want to Attract, right here. And it's very powerful. It's perfect. It's the law of attraction. In order to find the love that we are going to just thrive in, we do need to become what it is that we want to attract. That's the basis of the law of attraction, 100%. Even if you're looking for a car, even if you're looking for a house, even if you're looking for a school, you have to become that which you are wanting to attract to you. So this is delightful. Jeanne's wonderful as a soulmate coach. I highly recommend her. But on top of it all, she's here to really teach us how to magnetize into a higher love that is wonderful. This is the lesson we need to hear. So let's listen to these fast commercials, and we will be right back with Jeanne Sullivan Billeci, who is the soulmate coach. We'll be right back.
It's here, it's hot, and it's a must read. It's the science behind the Law of Attraction magazine. Every issue brings you great articles and in-depth how-tos from all your favorite Law of Attraction experts, authors, scientists, and medical professionals. Go to lawofattractionmagazine.net. That's lawofattractionmagazine.net.
Did you know that every human uses only a small portion of their powerful mind? Jules Johnson, international certified hypnotherapist, wants to introduce you to your powerful mind in order to create your dream life. In as little as one session, Jules guides you into releasing limiting beliefs that keep you from achieving wealth, health, better relationships, and even true love. Schedule a session in Palm Springs or set up a Skype video session for those nationally and internationally. Jules would love to serve as your guide into living your dreams. Go to creativeguidedimagery.com or call 951-201-2166. That's creativeguidedimagery.com.
You're listening to the Law of Attraction Radio Network, heard by millions worldwide through 38 internet radio stations and in over 135 countries. Be sure to sign up for your monthly updates and get all the latest information on LOA radio events such as cruises, workshops, and seminars, as well as information on the latest shows, topics, and guests. Go to LOARadionetwork.com and sign up today.
Well, welcome, Jeanne, to Law of Attraction Talk Radio. Now, this is going to be a fun show because I know that there are so many people out there who want to discover how to attract their soulmate into their life. And I know a lot of people are married and they've already found their soulmate, but they always know of someone who is looking desperately. So this is a subject that is everybody's going to listen to. So welcome, Jeanne. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me on, Jules.
Not a problem. Like I said, I think this is a subject that everybody wants to hear, especially, coming up on the holidays. And some people just don't like being alone. So this is good. Now, this book, uh, again, I want to show it. Be the soulmate that you want to attract. Now, you attracted your soulmate. So
Exactly.
tell us how we can do that. And I know we're going to get more information through your book, but give us a couple of tips here.
Well,
first,
I think,
why don't you start off on your story first?
okay, that sounds perfect. So for me, I was a law of attraction fan for years, but I really didn't understand it as well as I thought I did. And then as I studied it more, I realized that I had a lot of resistance. Even though I had this great career and I was traveling all over the world, my love life was awful. I kept attracting the wrong men and, that were not right for me. I didn't have any boundaries. You get the picture, right?
Yeah.
Very common story.
Yes.
And so I started on this journey of 2 years of, reflection, thinking about my patterns, working on forgiveness of myself and, some of my exes, and really just getting back on the path of what my life purpose was apart from a mate, so that I could, what I call, step into my sovereignty, take my throne and live my best life, own my happiness, so that my vibration would go up and I would attract a much better, healthier relationship.
That suited you,
Exactly.
what you were looking for. Okay, that's good. So what happened then? I mean, when did you decide to change first?
Yes.
In order
Yes.
to bring that person, but how did you know? I mean, did you feel the vibration of yourself changing? Did you just get a stronger focus on what it is that you were looking for?
That's a really intuitive question, because I think what really started it for me was my career. When I relocated to California, I had left this, gilded cage job that I loved the job, but I was really ready for something else and to embrace a new career. And the first year in business, I was doing something that made me so happy. I manifested 3 times the money that I had done ever before in 1 year. And it blew my mind. And I was like, how did I do this? And I realized, because I was doing what I'm supposed to be doing, what I'm joyful about. And it showed. But I didn't see it in my dating until I was studying with a lot of relationship and dating masters, trying to figure out what the missing piece of the puzzle was. Oh. And I was, I don't know how else to put this, but I was, attracting a lot of cubs. They were all looking for cougars. And really? Well, some friends were like, woohoo! But I was, I wanted a husband. I wanted a partner. I wanted my soul partner. So I was like, what am I doing wrong? And then I got a flash of insight. Since I have a marketing background, I realized I'm not authentically branding my product myself. And so I looked at my profile and I realized that without knowing it, I had written my profile from a lack mentality. I was trying very hard to be so vague that I would attract the most men, because I believed, we've all heard it as women in the movies, if you're over 40, as I was, you have a greater chance of being killed by a terrorist than meeting your mate,
That's true in California right now. Yeah.
And I bought into that, and I didn't realize that's what I was doing And so I was giving off this air of non-committalness and just fun. And that's what I was attracting to me. So I decided to be brave. I rewrote my profile and I said what my agenda was. I flew my freak flag. I put all these things about myself, what I wanted, what my deal breakers were, that I wanted marriage, the word that everybody's afraid to use.
Yeah.
And literally overnight, I saw a dramatic change in the men who were contacting me. And one of them was my husband.
Wow.
Literally overnight. It was amazing.
Oh, wow. So you changed, you just reevaluated and changed everything and you wrote out your specific desires and you put it onto these match places.
Yes. I was on match.com at the time. And I said, I really need to put my vision onto the profile so that men who would align with that and would resonate with that and wanted to provide what I wanted, you know, would be attracted to me and would reach out to me. And it would screen out the guys who didn't want that. And it would save me a lot of bad dates.
Gosh, really? So I get it. So on Match or those other dating sites, you don't put a lot down because you're really not sure. So what you did is really get down to the nitty-gritty of what you want, and you didn't care. You were going to put it down, and if they didn't show up, that's fine, but you're going to put it down. I love that attitude. That is a winning attitude right there.
Thank you. Thank you. I you know, it took a lot for me to get to that place of being comfortable with scaring people away. But once I got it, I was like, yes, I want to do that. I want to just attract, even if it's just one person. That's really my goal. That's what I want. So don't worry about everybody else.
That's brilliant. Oh, I love that. And it's about time. This is real truth in advertising here. This
Exactly.
really is. This is wonderful. So, okay, what happened after you got the nitty gritty written down?
So I posted it online, and I did what Abraham Hicks always advises. I really, you know, pictured what my life would be like before I went to bed every night. And I pictured what it would be like that night, the first night, and just really tapped into the feeling of joy and happiness of my husband coming in. And then I let it go. I said, divine timing is gonna, you know, I've done everything I can, literally. I've spent thousands of dollars. I've spent 2 years trying to figure everything out. I did the very best I could. I let it go. And then the very next day, 4 men, all looking for the same thing, winked at me, and one of them was Todd, my husband.
Wow. Wow, that was fast.
It was powerful. It's a really powerful example of how law of attraction can work for you if you get rid of your resistance and just really focus on that vision.
So, okay, let's go into that resistance again, because you're saying that we have got to get to the space where we're okay with resistance. Like,
yes,
we're really not bothered about it. And it's really not resistance. It's more that you're feeling comfortable about being who you are.
Yeah, that's such a smart way to put it, because, you know, a lot of times we feel, we just buy into these beliefs and we don't even realize we're thinking these beliefs. And that really put a limit on what's possible for us. So I know one of my pieces of resistance was, you know, at the time I met my husband, believe it or not, I was twice my size that I am now.
Really?
and you know, a lot of people tell you, I had a lot of rejection before, you know, about my weight. And I had all these beliefs around my age. I was too old. And then, you know, people would tell me, well, I don't know, Jeanne, you have a very strong personality. You know, I don't know how many men can handle that. So I was like, in their minds, a confirmed spinster, you know, but it really took me just being comfortable with those things, and this is what it is, and the right man will love those things about me. And that's what happened.
Wow. Wow. So basically, I'm seeing that the attitude of not getting the love that you want is simply because you're not getting down deep enough to
Mm-hmm.
get to the basis. That's why this book is so important, because you have to become that which you want to attract to
Mm-hmm.
you. So you are now married to Todd. How did you become that person
Mm-hmm.
that you want to attract? So are you saying that Todd is just like you?
I'm saying that Todd is in alignment with my values, my goals. He's very supportive of my vision and my future. And when you look at the arc of our story, even the conflict, the contrast that we've had in our relationship has propelled both of us up in our evolution or in our journeys, getting us deeper and deeper on our track of living our life purpose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that's, to me, is what a soulmate is that they give you the right kind of contrast that helps you to dig up. You know, you don't have to heal everything to attract your soulmate, but you have to attract the right person, in my opinion, who is going to help you evolve and live your best life. But you have to start that journey on your own, I believe, before you can attract that person of that same vibration. Does that make
Well,
sense?
yeah, it does make a lot of sense. And especially to the listeners who are law of attraction followers. So, yeah, this is right on target. Now, what happened though with when you first met him? How did you absolutely know that he was the right one?
You've been doing this for a long time, and it really shows because you're asking the best questions, things that I forgot to even say. So thank you. You know, this is an important piece of the puzzle. I'm so glad you asked this, because we tend to, in modern society, we don't tend to date with a lot of common sense.
Isn't that the truth?
So in COVID, I was talking with somebody yesterday about how COVID actually can be an advantage because it slows us down and it really forces us to really confront what hasn't been working for us. And for me, one of the things I realized I was doing that made no sense was not being upfront and honest and brave, like we were talking about before. But also, we're taught in Hollywood and romance novels, you know, that when you meet that person, you feel this intense spark,
Right.
this intense chemistry. And what I've really come to the conclusion of is that expectation is what hinders us, because sometimes we think that's what is a sign of our soulmate, when really it's just that part of our nature that thinks this person will make good babies with. It's a biological, chemical reaction. It's not spirit. And so I teach my coaching clients to look for someone that you feel comfortable with and somebody you feel you can be completely yourself. And I felt that with Todd instantly. I felt like I had come home.
Wow.
And I
And
didn't feel like an intense spark, but of course, I wasn't looking for that. But then just over the course of dating, very quickly, that spark develops, but it's being driven by spirit.
interesting. So that is the basic of failing relationships. We're looking for the spark, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. That's it. I mean, yeah, I get it. Yeah. Wow. So how long did it take you to discover that he was the one though?
The second date, I had a clue on the first date. The second date, I was so nervous because I knew I suddenly had what I had waited my whole life for. And I was so scared I was going to mess it up. I was scared that, you know, it wasn't going to be real. I just knew it was the right thing. That's why I was so terrified. But actually he brought it up. He said, "You seem really nervous." And I said, "I'm scared. I'm really scared." And that's part of it. I could tell him that. And he said, "That's a really big compliment, you know?" And I think by the third date, it was just, it all clicked. And we waited 2 years to get married. We waited to get to know each other, but we both admitted later on that we knew by the second date, and then it was really cinched on the third.
Wow. Wow. So this thing they say that you're not supposed to get intimate with the person for a while. You need to get to know them. That still holds true. I mean, it's been years since I've dated anyone, but but that still holds true today.
I think so. I think sometimes when we're lonely, or if we haven't been with someone in a while, we're so eager for touch and for connection that sometimes we can jump in too soon before that emotional intimacy has had a chance to develop. We waited until, we both felt very comfortable and we got a chance to know each other. And then once we felt that comfort level and that familiarity and that deeper connection, that passion just, naturally came, and it was amazing.
Wow. Wow. So what, and I saw you in the magazine, because you're featured in Law of Attraction magazine, and you have a picture of your husband in there, and you've been traveling with him, which had to have been quite exciting.
It is, it has been. And that's one of the things that I was really grateful for. I'm very passionate about travel, and so is he. And, we had a chance. I became an Irish citizen recently, and I wanted to go to Ireland. And those pictures in the magazine are from when we were in Western Ireland, the Burren. It's a very, very romantic place. And those pictures, you could just tell, I felt the reason I used those pictures is they just really, you could just see more than any other pictures I have, that deep love, I think, really shows.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So you've got the ways and the means for people to really get down to the nitty gritty to know themselves first. So is there a technique that you take them through? What is your coaching like?
Well, I usually start off with doing a couple of temperament and strengths assessments, because sometimes people aren't aware of their strengths, or they aren't aware of any special needs or their communication style. So knowing their temperament and knowing their strengths really helps me to get a more objective picture of what they may not be emphasizing enough, or a potential growth area, or communication style issues. And this goes, by the way, I do soulmate attraction coaching, but I also do relationship coaching and soulmate career coaching. People are in a transition. Wow. And so after the assessments, I walk through it with the client, and we start to get the client to see themselves from a higher perspective. Usually these assessments help them to really appreciate themselves more. And that's really my goal, is to help them start the journey of getting rid of, some of the baggage that they've been unconsciously carrying that isn't even theirs. It's just stuff put on them from other people.
And even including parents.
Yes. Oh gosh, yes, exactly. And then, like the book, I go through different processes depending on the client, of figuring out what their patterns were, their emotional patterns, their relationship patterns, getting really clear on those so that, we can, shift that and shift to more, to what they actually do want, rather than all their contrast. And I do a lot of forgiveness work. I usually find with clients that they have a lot of sadness and anger, but with other people, but especially exes, but even more so I find it with themselves. They really are so hard on themselves for the mistakes, or what they think are mistakes, which are really lessons.
Yeah.
So we work on the forgiveness. And then I like to do a life purpose assessment where we have I have the client do different processes. It could be, Abraham Hicks has a meditation where you can do a life purpose visualization, but I also have another exercise called Wheel of Life. Just try to give the client a big picture vision of what they want their ideal life to look like so they can start taking steps in that direction. I think where I was going wrong for a long time is, without realizing it, I had this sense of waiting to do this, waiting to do that until I had a partner. And I think what changed that is when I started living my best life and figuring out what that was. How can I live more on purpose? And one thing that I like to do with clients, because usually confidence is an issue when they come to me.
Absolutely.
And I like to do an exercise where we figure out what their alter ego is. And this could be, an inner superhero. It could be a diva. For me, it's a drag queen. That's why I have this throne chair.
I love
leopard
it.
Throne chair.
I was just admiring that. I'm going, wow, I love that. That's something I would love in my house.
All right. Well, you got to get yourself one.
Gosh, yeah, I do. Now that I know what to look for. And it's just like this book. You're teaching people, look, this is you. What I wanted to say is people have a different assessment of them than you would. That's why it's so necessary to talk to a soulmate coach, to open their eyes. Well, wait a minute, I've had it wrong all of this time. I didn't know this. So it's like they need you to give them clarity of who they are and to end the confusion and get them on the straight and narrow so that they can go and get it. That's why you're so important.
Thank you. That's exactly what a lot of clients tell me, is that what helps them is that I see them for who they are, unencumbered by the baggage. I see them. I really see them. And I want them to have the gift that I've been given. So it helps them to know that someone else really sees them and supports that vision of themselves,
Yeah.
The whole alter ego thing came about because I used to have this desperate fear of public speaking. And I don't know if you know this, but Beyonce has an alter ego called Sasha Fierce. When she first started out, she used this alter ego when she would step on stage to gain confidence. Sasha Fierce was really a part of her already. It was just a part that kind of got buried under all the negative thoughts. And so she would channel that and she would get out on that stage and she'd be really fierce. And so that's what I like to do with clients, is tap into that fierceness, whatever that means for them.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Fierceness. Again, your basic premise is to get people to know and understand themselves. Because if they don't do that, then they are going to go out and attract the wrong person. They are going to end up in a divorce, or they're not going to give that relationship a fair shake.
Yes,
and that's what. So it brings up another question. Do you help people then afterwards? They're having conflict that they can't get out. You can actually help. So you're a marriage counselor.
I would call myself more of a relationship coach, because I don't really do traditional therapy. What I do is I help clients to see that a lot of their contrast is really designed. It's really ingenious, really, that the universe kind of sets it up this way, but it's really designed to help us both, help both people in the couple evolve. And once they can start to see that, instead of attaching this meaning to it, that, every time, they have conflict, it means that they're not the one. It's not true at all. It's only a case of, of course, if it's a toxic relationship, then that's not really a soul relationship, then of course you should absolutely step away from that. But the right person you're going to have conflict with, even the best marriages have that.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you've ever heard of the therapist, he's very famous, John Gottman, and he's done like 25 years of research on marriage. And he said even the best couples, the strongest marriages, about 2/3 of the problems are unsolvable.
Really?
But they can be managed.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So how would you go about managing a problem then?
Oh, well, so if like between a couple, you mean?
Yeah, between a couple.
So, first of all, I usually try to get both of them to tell me what is it they're trying to achieve? How are they not feeling seen or heard? And then by doing that, it helps the other person to really see what it is that's causing the problem. Because it's usually just a matter of we're asking for things in the wrong way, or we're projecting a lot of anger when we're asking for things. And as you know from law of attraction, when you're projecting that vibration, it's just going to have that
come right back to you. Right back immediately. No skipping out on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are the person then that can bring clarity. You're really a clarity coach because you're bringing clarity to everybody about what's going on from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And a perspective because you are looking at love. You did it in your life. You have the ability to do it for others. That's really, really, really important. Wow.
Yeah, I honestly believe that soulmates coming together is so important, more important than it ever has been with what's going on in the world. It's such a chaotic time. I really believe that soulmates together can do, it's not that we can't do a lot in the world that's positive on our own. Of course we can. But when you're with the right person who can support that vision, it just amplifies. And so that's part of why I really love doing this is I really believe that this makes the world a better place.
Wow. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. This is great. Okay, now let's go back to attracting. So do you have exercises or things that people should do to figure out themselves?
Yes. So the book is designed exactly to do that. I have a lot of, I have guided meditations on my website that go with the book if people are open to meditation, but also I have very practical exercises that just give you, ask you a lot of important questions to help you really figure out what your patterns are, and what you need to forgive, how to forgive. And also, there are exercises in how to figure out what your life purpose is. I work with them to start taking, even if it's just baby steps, start taking baby steps towards getting more in alignment with their ideal path. And then another big important piece besides helping them channel into their alter ego is to help them write that badass profile.
Oh, yeah.
How to write it in such a way. I mean, it's not like that mine was a piece of literature, but it was so authentic and so much of my personality was in it that every man that winked at me the next day was like, wow, I had to read that a couple of times. It was so refreshing just to see that honesty and that raw, like authenticity, it was amazing. So I teach people how to do that, how to really represent themselves, how to grab attention, and how to start a conversation with someone too. That's another big one.
Wow. Yeah. Again, I've got to say, we are taught that it's that chemistry, that instant, wow, pow, pow, but it's not that, because that could be the very wrong thing. It's about you. It's about
Yes.
you.
Yes. And we forget that, especially women sometimes. We are so socialized to think, are we attractive? Do they like me? Am I pleasing them? That we really forget that it's really about you and what you want. The universe wants you to have that. You just have to figure out that you deserve it. And another thing that I go about in the book and with clients is how to date in such a way that it's more fun and it's not such a chore, which I think a big piece of that is I encourage people to date online. And I know some people have a stigma attached to that, but I point out that at least consider having that be one piece of the puzzle, because it opens up your options. I never would have met my husband, I don't think, if I hadn't have been online. We didn't have the same circles at all.
Right.
But using that profile to screen that was really key to my success, because then the guys who did come through, they wanted those things. And so I didn't have to figure that out on the first date, which can be really uncomfortable. You know, if like, let's say you want to have kids and that's a deal breaker for you, you don't want to be finding that out on the date. That's just really awkward. Okay, I guess that's the end of the date. It's awkward, So it's great to figure that out before, so that when you go on the date, it's just much more relaxing,
Yeah. So again, you're doing it for yourself, and you're not doing it necessarily for them. You're just seeing the compatibility. And I like the screening aspect of the online dating. And so what things you're going to jive with and what things you're not. And personality is what you're really trying to discover, that you can't get online. You really have to be on a date to discover the other's personality. Is that correct?
Yes. And an important piece of the puzzle is being very clear about what your must-haves in a relationship are and what your deal breakers are. And I think one of the things that gets people into trouble is they're afraid to honor their boundaries, honor their deal breakers. They're afraid of scaring people away. But I encourage clients to really embrace that, because for me, I was a direct example of that. I embraced what my deal breakers were. I put it out there, and the guys who showed up reflected what I wanted rather than what I didn't want.
So you put your deal breakers right into that letter. Wow. Right into that online presence. You put them right there so they can see. Don't bother contacting me if you want children. Just don't contact me.
I put it in I put it in a diplomatic way, but I was very clear. Yes, I think people need to be clear about those things, because also too, it doesn't, it makes the other person uncomfortable too. And we want the other person to have a good experience too. There are certain things you can't really put on a profile. For example, I had a gentleman who contacted me, and in many ways we wanted the same things, but he had a desire to be spanked in sex. And he brought it up on the first date. I can see why he didn't put that in his profile. But what I did, that's cool. If that's your thing, that's cool. It just wasn't for me. I just wouldn't authentically enjoy that. But I made it a point to commend him for his bravery and his authenticity, because I don't want him to waste his time either.
Yeah.
And I want him to have that person who can really just get down with that and really enjoy that. So sometimes there, every once in a while, there's something that you find out on the first date or on the first phone call. It's ideal is to do that on the first phone call. And that's what we did. And, he didn't have to feel embarrassed. I said, that's really cool. Not my thing, but that's cool.
So finding a soulmate is not about finding financial support with a partner. You're not looking at their money or their success. And that actually could lead you into more difficult.
Yes. Oh my God. You are such a great interviewer. These are all the questions that I was hoping you would ask. I have found that a lot of people are doing what I call aspirational dating, and this can get controversial sometimes if people don't really hear what my intention is behind it. But, let's say if you were to, your goal, and I've heard this from many people, that they're looking for a wealthy woman or a wealthy man. And to me, I ask them, is that coming from a place of not being empowered for you to be wealthy on your own? Is that coming from that place? And they'll stop and go, oh. I said, because the key is you don't want to look outside of yourself for that love and for that support. You can do that yourself for yourself. You can do that for yourself. And if you want to be wealthy, I say, well, let's figure out how you can get wealthy. Because, let's say if you rated yourself as a total package, personality, wealth, health, everything, attractiveness, and you scored yourself a 5, and a 5 is actually not bad. It's just the average person. I just found that some people who didn't have enough confidence or self-love would go after somebody they would perceive as a 10. And they would get hurt because, sometimes somebody who, is somebody who's a 10, a supermodel is looking for, they're looking for Brad Pitt, and they're looking to go to his chalet, they're not necessarily going to be happy long-term with, it's not like the movie Notting Hill, I think it was called.
Yeah, Notting Hill.
Yeah. And I say that with love. I don't mean that with any kind of, putting anybody down. I just ask what their intention is behind that. If it's coming from a place of not feeling empowered, not feeling love for yourself, then let's work on that, and let's figure out ways that you can be that person. You can be that 10 if that's what you really want.
So there is really no age limit to finding love. A person can be in their 70s and still find love. Is it?
Yes.
We still just need to do the exact same things that you're talking about if they were in their 20s, right?
Exactly. I have one of my dearest long-term friends. She met her soulmate when she was 72.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, she waited a long time, but now she's ecstatically happy. And, it took her a while to get there because she actually had a mindset that she wasn't seen. She kept saying over and over again, men don't see me, that men don't see me. And they sure didn't.
Wow.
But once she moved and she went through this period of growth, and she just changed her mind about it. And it was funny how quickly someone showed up, and suddenly she realized she is seen. She's a beautiful, luminous person. It's just that if you don't see that within yourself, then other people aren't going to see it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. So age, it does not matter at all.
Mm-mm.
And you just have to get to know yourself.
Yes.
And project it out and lose the fear too, I would imagine, because finding a mate, there's a lot of fear that a person has towards that at any age.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. But you help people through that fear. You help to show them.
I definitely do. And especially if they're in midlife and they're, successful in other areas of their life, they're very afraid often that they're not going to find someone who can bring something to their party. And I, work with them on that, because that's not necessarily true. That person may not be at the party, but they're certainly going to celebrate that you're at the party. As long as they can support your vision, they don't have to be, for example, they don't have to have the same life purpose. But if as long as they support that and they really encourage you, then that's just fine.
Yeah. Interesting. Oh, that's wonderful. And we're almost out of time, but I just got to encourage everybody to go get this book. It's easy reading and it makes so much sense. And she has all of these things, exercises in there that helps you to know yourself better. But I have to just go on and say, you know, if you're stuck with finding love, you need to contact Jeanne Sullivan Billeci.
Yes, Billeci, yes.
Billeci. You need to contact her because she seems like the ideal person who's going to get you straight. And it's not going to be difficult. It's going to just be enlightening. And again, with COVID, this whole period has been about enlightenment. Absolutely. About our true self, being alone with ourselves, slowing down. And then at the end of the COVID, here we are. We're introducing you to something that's going to help you even evolve further in life. And this is so important. Jeanne, thank you so much for coming on. It's been absolutely wonderful. And I hope you do come back on because we're going to want to know more. I know that there are many, many listeners out there ready to go. And they can contact you by going to, what's your website?
mysoulmatecoach.com.
Well, that's easy.
And they can
go ahead.
mysoulmatecoach.com, and they can find out more about the book on there as well.
Oh, good. Yeah, as a matter of fact, they could purchase it there. But I think, and can they get an appointment with you on there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All they do is it's a little easy form. You just provide your email and a note, and then I will contact you.
Okay.
And we'll have a free consultation, and you can tell me exactly what you're looking for, what support you need, and then I put a package together on what's really ideal for them, and then we go from there. We start on the journey together.
Wow, wonderful. And how long does it usually take to find your mate?
I think it really depends on the person and how much resistance they have to release. I've seen people start attracting more ideal candidates within a month. I've seen others maybe 3 months. I had one client, it took her about a year before she started attracting viable candidates. And then she, and several of those people did wind up getting married. But it just really depended. The person who took a year before she even started attracting better people, she had a lot of stuff to unpack, and but she did it. It just really depends on the person.
Wow, that's so good.
Everyone can.
Everyone can, and that's one of the reasons I think we come to this planet is to find out about not only how to love ourselves, but how to love another. So yes. I think this is one of the most important life lesson. And if you're going to attract a mate, why not attract the right one?
Yes.
The right one.
Amen, sister.
And that holds true for a man as well. So,
absolutely.
Thanks, Jeanne. It's so wonderful you came on and to come back again. Talk to us more about.
I would love to. I would be honored. Thank you so much, Jules.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another great show from Law of Attraction Talk Radio. If you'd like to comment on tonight's show, send an email to jules@loaradionetwork.com and have a great week.